That's what I wondered. Well, that's, yeah.
Okay, it is 9 o'clock. We're going to start the meeting. Welcome. A current copy of the Open Meetings Act of Nebraska is posted on the wall at the back of the council chambers. Roll call.
Cuddy, here. Aye. Wilkie,
Here.
Soroka, Mendenhall.
Here. Okay. Next item is review and approval of minutes from December 3rd, 2024.
I move we accept the minutes as submitted.
Second? Second. Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Cuddy, Wilkie,
Yes.
Soroka,
Yes.
Mendenhall.
Approved.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is review the proposed redevelopment contract for the North Platte Mall LLC relating to the increase, the enhanced employment area bond. So I don't know, Mr. Bacon, do you want to talk through that?
Certainly. So this was tabled in spring of last year. It was a request for additional funding under the occupation tax, not the TIF bond. And the list of additional expenditures that were not planned are on the last page of the proposed redevelopment contract. We received an email yesterday that they have additional qualifying expenditures above that, but are not asking for any more than the 3.3 million. And based on the projections that they came up with, their occupation tax would support the additional bond issuance. I think Bill can address the action that's been taken at the council level to authorize that transaction, or at least prepare the ordinance to authorize that. This is a three-legged stool. It requires the redevelopment authority, requires the city because they're the entity that imposes the tax, and then the redeveloper. So, Bill can address the piece on whether or not the ordinance is now ready to enlarge that.
Yeah, so the ordinance has been amended to allow for an amendment to the redevelopment contract. And so, as Mr. Bacon stated, because it's a three-party contract between the mall, the CRA, and the city, part of what the action is today is to authorize it, to approve it on this level, but then to authorize it to go forward to the city council level for the city council then to consider approval of it.
What would happen, assuming we get an approval at that level, it'd come back to you for the passage of the bond resolution to expand it. Mr. Works is here and can address what he's asking for, what he wants to do, and how that would impact the mall. So that's all I have at this point.
Okay.
Hey guys. Mike Works, Lincoln, Nebraska. We are here. I think Mike explained it well. We're here asking for an extension of the original bond by $3.3 million. To no one's surprise, we've gone through, expenses have gone up substantially since 2020 when we originally predicted what it was going to cost. At the same time, on the good side, overall retail sales at the mall have gone up substantially since what we predicted originally too. Last year there was 27 million approximately of retail sales at the mall. I think with Panda and Ribbon Shop and a couple other things that are on the horizon, I think that will be well into the mid-30s next year and beyond that in the future. So I think it's a positive from the city from a sales tax standpoint, from a employment standpoint. Certainly have created way more jobs. I feel like we've worked very hard to get the west side of the mall where we want it. I think we've come through with most of everything that we said we could do. However, we are now at the point where if we're going to do anything on the back side of the mall, we do need some assistance, and that's why we're here today. Really two things that would happen. Well, one thing immediately on the backside of the mall and another thing that's probably important to all of us too. The first thing is if this passes and goes through city council and CRA, we would start almost immediately in March on the new mixed use building, which is 71 apartments and a little bit of retail on the first floor. And that would go in the southeast corner on the big grassy area in front of the movie theater. So that's where that would go. Plans are already into the city, been permitted. Banking's ready to go. We're just waiting on this. If this doesn't happen, we just don't go forward with it. It doesn't happen. Otherwise, it starts in March, and hopefully that solves a little bit of the housing problem in town. That's the goal anyway. The other thing is we do have interest from regional retailers, specifically a Southeast regional retailer that has about 1,500 units in the Southeast that is moving this way. They have a letter of intent, an offer to us on leasing the back half of the JCPenney's building. And that's something we would very much like to consider. But again, for what they're willing to pay on the back side of the mall, because everybody still sees it like that, there's no way we would move forward with them without assistance on the EEA. So we're waiting on that as well. And then number one, I can't wait to fill the potholes in the back of the building. I'm sure you guys feel the same way. So that would be the other thing that would happen right away. Yeah, happy to answer questions.
What surface are you gonna use to repair the potholes in the back? Are you gonna concrete or are you gonna?
I think it would be asphalt in the back of the building, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and unless we ended up with a larger retailer than perhaps who we're thinking, that would be willing to pay a little bit more. But otherwise, it'll be asphalt in the back of the building.
So two points of clarification. The amount of the tax rate will not change.
Correct.
So it's still at the 1.95%.
Correct.
And then the sunset date does not change. It's just the time period in between that extra that you're anticipating is going to be captured with this $3.3 million increase is what the plan is.
That's correct. I think honestly, the sales would support a much larger ask than that. We're only asking for 3.3 because that's what we know we need to make these two projects go forward.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
And again, how many square feet of commercial space were on your proposed building in the grassy area, in the back area that you said?
I'm going to be guessing slightly. It should be about a 15,000 square foot footprint, 4 stories high, so 60,000 square feet total. I give or take.
Any other questions for Mr. Works? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else from your standpoint, Bill, that was in relationship to that, what had already been passed?
Not from my perspective, no. I think it's pretty much, it's what we had anticipated as we kind of moved through the process to amend the ordinance on the city council level, so.
Okay. Other discussion here? Not need a motion for resolution.
I make a motion to adopt the proposed redevelopment contract for North Platte Mall LLC relating to the increased of enhanced employment area bond.
I second that motion.
We
Just for
actually
cl-
just,
Yeah, just for clarification, that item was just for review. So I think if
Number
you'd be willing
5.
to withdraw your second, withdraw your motion,
Withdraw my second.
we just need to move on to number 5.
that resolution 2025 one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-1 forwarding proposed amended redevelopment contract for the North Platte Mall LLC to the city council with redevelopmentation for approval.
Second that motion.
Any discussion, questions? Let's vote. Roll call?
Covey? Yes. Wilkie?
Yes.
Peroska?
Yes.
Mendenhall?
Yes.
Okay, it's approved. That'll be forwarded on. And then timeline, what do we anticipate? Is that,
Should be on the city council agenda for next week, so.
then that will come back here for the actual
Yeah, for the bond resolution.
bond
as
resolution.
Mr. Bacon indicated.
I believe there's some interest in doing it quickly on the behalf of the developer, so if we could establish another CRA meeting shortly thereafter, that would be, I think, helpful. I'll need a little time to get a complex bond resolution put together, but sometime later the end of next week or the first of the following week would be great.
All right. Moving on to item 6, review the redevelopment contract for Lakeview Apartments, number 3. So,
This is a standard workforce housing TIF, which essentially completes and slightly alters the Lakeview Apartments project at another 8 plexes. It's a different partnership. We still have to get a subdivision approved. Is that on next? That's on next week. So they're ready to undertake that apartment construction, and they're wanting to move quickly. And so this will allow them to do that. And as I understand it, there's a large local investment group that are part of that partnership to provide workforce housing that will support primarily people that work at the hospital. So glad to answer any other questions. As for that project originally encompassed project number 1 and project number 2, and this turns out to be project number 3, so they're jiggling the boundaries a little bit. It will still allow, I believe, 2 lots for neighborhood commercial, correct? And that should get you all the apartments that are gonna fit on that site.
Those 2 lots for commercial and the 2 that are existing there now on the southwest corner of that.
Like Lakeview.
Yeah,
and-
so
Yeah, okay.
it's where that Pioneer Drive goes. There's 2 lots right on the corner of Lakeview and Pioneer Drive. These 2 lots are right along on
Like-
the east side of that Pioneer Drive.
the east side of the drive.
So closer to Eisenhower. So the apartments that they're proposing in this phase 3 are closer to the Eisenhower side of Lakeview, and then the commercials on like the Lakeview side.
Where it's done.
Mhm.
That's what I thought.
That's all I have.
My question, and I just saw something, I read this, but I just saw something. So in part of this, it refers to Lakeview 2
Mm-hmm.
and the Series B bond amount in the 1,330,000. That's just the historical one. This one here for Lakeview 3 is the
Yes.
825.
So originally, the plan provided for a pledge of future development on some prior bonds. And so, because this was all wrapped up in there, we're going to require the release of those bonds holders and say, yeah, we know that we're not going to get any tax from this new development. So it's doing a paperwork cleanup saying, you bondholders and you people that have that bond assigned to you as creditors, you have to release this development to go forward. So I would hold off on the signatures on this redevelopment contract until Judy gets a new subdivision and we get the documentation that those are released before we sign the contract. So, but we'll be in a good place to move forward. So that kind of cleans up the prior development. This thing is changed as it's gone through phase 2 and now phase 3. So.
Okay. Okay, I think we're ready for agenda item number 7. And that's the resolution 2025-2 that you have in your packet.
This is the bond resolution or the issuance of the debt. There's one cleanup. I had a typo in there, but I've given the corrected copy to our good city clerk, so she's pretty good at catching my errors. So, anyway, it's for $825,000 $5,000. 15-year TIF.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
I would make a motion for the adoption of resolution 2025-2, providing for issuance of a tax increment development revenue note and approval of the redevelopment contract and other matters for Lakeview Apartments 3.
Discussion or questions? Okay, call the question. Roll call.
Debbie? Yes. Wilkie?
Yes.
Roscoe?
Yes.
Mendenhall?
Yes.
Okay. And we'll wait for that signature till after the plat is filed.
Which I think it's.
And that'll be at this next meeting on the agenda. It'll be finalized same time.
No,
No, it has to go to planning commission first.
Okay.
I didn't get their application till late December, so it's not gonna hit the planning commission meeting until the end of January.
Okay.
And then it'll go right on to city council after that. So it's
Okay.
gonna be for first, like,
Okay. Okay. All right. Next item on the agenda is to review the redevelopment contract for North Platte Rentals LLC.
This is a pretty clean one. This gets you 7 buildings, 42 apartments. I believe this is on the north side of town. And pretty clean. They think they want to get going right away and think they can get most all of their units up this year. So this will get some nice residences available for your new workforce demands pretty quickly. Well, both these last 2 projects, well, actually all 3. So real standard, real clean. I would point out one thing that at the city council approval of the redevelopment plan, they requested that site purchase not be an allowable expense on this project, and so that is accepted from the redevelopment contract, that it's not an allowable expense, and they still have substantial allowable expenses that will qualify. So, but we did that to comply with the motion of the city council. So.
I think the city council's feelings on that was that the land had already been purchased before he decided that he wanted to pursue the TIF. And so what they'd asked was that we just basically take that out of the line item for allowable costs.
Any questions?
I think we're ready for item number 9.
I make a motion that we adopt resolution 2025-40, providing for issuance of a tax increment development revenue and approval of a redevelopment contract and other matters for LLC.
Second?
Any additional discussion? Questions? Okay, let's vote. Roll call.
Debbie? Yes. Wilkie?
Yes.
Roscoe?
Yes.
Mendenhall?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other new business this morning? Okay. We're adjourned.